This video will review a variety of topics that we've learned in our equations and inequality unit to help you get ready for our test, which is coming up. My suggestion for all of these problems would be to try them and then check with the video. You're going to get more out of this probably if you see what you know and then try to fill in the gaps as needed. So in number 1, we have x minus negative 9 equals 17. So I'm going to start by drawing a line just to keep my work organized. So that minus negative 9 to me looks kind of jumbled, but I know minus a negative is the same as a positive. So I'm going to rewrite this just to clean it up a little bit as x plus 9 equals 17. And that makes this little one-step equation just look so much nicer to me. The parentheses in that problem are not actually necessary because there's no operation going on there. So minus a negative is the same as adding. So then to solve it, if I have x plus 9, I would subtract 9 on both sides. That would give me x equals 17 minus 9 is 8. And you can check your work by substituting back in if you need to do that. All right, number 2, we've got another little one-step equation. So in number 2, I have negative 8t equals 56. So remember, negative 8t, even though the operation symbol is not there, that means negative 8 times t. So the opposite of multiplying would be to divide by negative 8 on both sides. 56 divided by negative 8 would be 7, negative 7. So our answer would be negative 7. T equals negative 7. And again, I can imagine substituting that back in for t. So I could read that as negative 8 times negative 7 would be positive 56, and that is true. So those were 2 one-step equations for you. We've got some that are a little bit more complicated here. So in number 3, we have 3x minus 11 equals 25. So here's a 2-step for you. If we have a 2-step equation, we move the addition or subtraction first. So that minus 11, I need to move to the other side, which I do so by adding 11. I do the opposite when I'm moving across the equal sign. And that will give me 3x equals 25 plus 11 is 36. And then my final step would be to divide by the coefficient of my variable. So in this case, the number out front is 3. We're going to divide by 3, and we get x equals 12. All right, last one for the solving equation section looks kind of tricky. There's just a lot going on in number 4, but break it down. We're going to use the same skills that we've been using, and it's really not so bad. So to keep myself organized again, I like to draw that line down the middle. And let's start by cleaning up just a little bit. So on the left side, for example, I see parentheses that I would like to get rid of by distributing. So when I distribute, I am multiplying. 5 times 2x is 10x. And 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. On the right side, no parentheses, but I could combine some like terms. I have 2 terms over there with an x, so I might as well just combine them before we keep going. 4x plus 3x makes 7x. And now, everything's as clean as it can be. I need to try to get my x's on the same side. So I like to move the ones from the right. So if I want to move 7x, I'm going to subtract 7x on both sides, which will give me 3x minus 35 equals 10 will be left over here. And then now we're down to that 2-step process. So minus 35, need to move by adding 35. I'm going to actually continue this up here. When I do that addition, I would have 3x equals 45. So final step would be to divide by 3. We get x equals 15. 45 divided by 3 is 15. Okay, let's jump into a into a word problem. So in number 5, says a person is considering a new text plan for their cell phone. Plan A charges 10 cents per text plus a $10 monthly fee. Plan B charges 5 cents per text plus a $25 monthly fee, and we want to write an equation to represent what they're going to get charged. So our plan A, these are actually going to be more expressions. We'll set these as expressions because we don't know how many texts they're going to send, which means we won't be able to figure out how many or how much they're going to spend in total. So in plan A, it said 10 cents per text plus a $10 fee. So 1 month for plan A would cost us 10 cents per text. So I'm going to represent that as 0.10 T, and we'll make a note over here that T is the number of texts. And then we also are going to have to pay that $10 fee, and that would be the cost of plan A for 1 month. For plan B, here we charge 5 cents per text plus a $25 monthly fee. So notice their texts are cheaper, but the fee is higher. So for this one, I would write 5 cents per text. 5 cents would be 0.05 plus the $25 fee, and that would be plan B for 1 month. And you definitely don't have to write these words. I just want to make sure you understand what we're representing here. This equation would need to look different if we wanted to look at multiple months, but we just are going to focus on the number of texts and how much that means we would pay for 1 month. All right, number 6, we've got an inequality. So when we solve an inequality, remember that we use the exact same strategies we used for equations. The only thing we have to remember is that if we multiply or divide by a negative on both sides, we do have to flip our inequality sign or reverse that sign backwards. So this is pretty neat. Nothing to combine, nothing to distribute. So I would immediately start by trying to move this 5n to the left side. That would give us 4n minus 13 is greater than 15. Now this is 2 steps. We would add 13 on both sides. So 4n is greater than 28. Divide everything by 4, and we get 28 divided by 4 is 7. So I did not flip the sign. Even though I divided, it was just by a positive number. So I know n must be greater than 7. And let's graph that on a number line. I like to put at least that number and then a couple more. So I put the logical numbers. So one before 7 would be 6, one after would be 8. And we would use an open circle for this problem because we had just the greater than symbol. There was no equal to part. The equal to, the little line under your symbol, is what would tell us to color that in. And greater would move to the right towards 8. And so that's how we can visually represent our solutions. Last problem for this review is actually one that we've seen in notes. So we have the volume formula, or we have a volume formula. There are lots of volume formulas. So we have V equals 1/3 BH. And this time, I think last time we got V by itself. This time it says to solve for H. So that means we're going to get this H by itself. So to isolate that H, remember 1/3 BH means everything's being multiplied together. So I'm going to divide, let me put my line down the middle. I'm going to divide by 1/3 B, everything that I want to move. Do the same thing over here. And now we could actually leave this answer that way. However, remember that dividing by a fraction, we flip that fraction and then we multiply. So I'll make a little note of that. So when we have fraction division, that's the same thing as flip the fraction and multiply. And the reason we would care about that, it's just going to make our answer look a lot nicer. Technically, it's not wrong. So if I flip that 1/3, that would become 3/1, which is just 3. and I treat it as multiplication. So I can write this as 3v over b. And that looks a lot nicer than having a fraction and a fraction. So h equals 3v over b. Thanks for watching. Make sure you go to class to do your in-class review, and you'll have one more review video to watch before your test.